Hi, and welcome to this Tournament Expert tutorial. This tutorial is going to focus on the file command in the Tournament Expert player list. The file command has a whole bunch of commands underneath it, and we're going to look at some of the most commonly used commands in this tutorial. The first one is the new command. This command actually removes the current tournament and prepares the player list to begin a brand new tournament. Click on the new command. Everything goes away, and now we're ready to start with a brand new tournament. Had the current tournament not been saved, we would have been prompted to save that tournament before closing everything out. The next command is the open command, and in this case I'm going to reopen the President's Cup command, the President's Cup tournament, and click open. And when that tournament is loaded, then it comes back exactly where it was when we had saved it before. Let's open up a new tournament. In this case, I'm going to go, this particular tournament, the President's Cup, it was on a local folder. I'm going to open another tournament, and this tournament is on our server, and this tournament is in the demo folder on our server, and it is the 24 players tournament. So when I click open for that tournament, it then removes the President's Cup and now sets up Tournament Expert to work with the 24 players tournament. And you can notice that according to the name, it has 24 players in it. Here's the name of the tournament. Here's the name of the tournament up here, knowing that we are in the Tournament Expert player list, working with 24 players as our tournament. But we also did something else by clicking on open. The default folder now is, and I'm going to show this by clicking on Save As. The default folder, let me just click right up here, is now the Z:demo folder. And that's different from where the President's Cup came from. So that means that because I opened a tournament from a different folder, that using the open command, that folder now becomes the default folder. So let's see that in action one more time just so you can see how that works. So let's say that I'm going to open, so I'm going to say open, and now I'm going to go back to the President's Cup, which is in our Tournaments V40 folder, and say open that, and open. And now when that tournament is opened, that particular folder becomes our default folder. And you can see that when I go to Save As, just like I did before. So I'm going to click on File and then Save As. And let me just click right over here, and you can see the full path to that particular folder, which is the users. It's on the C drive, users public TourEx Tournaments V40. So what this means is that any folder that the Tournament Expert can see, that this computer can see, is a potential default folder, and all you have to do is either open or save a tournament to that folder, and then that folder then becomes your default folder until you change it to something else. Now if you've changed, so once again I'm going to open and let the Z drive become my default folder. So let's go File and Open, and I'm going to point to the Z drive, open up 24 players, click open, making the Z drive my default folder. And so once that it is that way, there may be a time when you want to open a file from a different folder and not change the default folder. And we have commands for that. So if you click File and you say Open from a temp location. So I'm going to open the temp location, and this time our default folder was the Z drive, but I'm going to open from Tournaments V40, and I'm going to open the President's Cup tournament. And that now becomes, it clears out the 24 players, puts in the President's Cup. And by doing that, you might think that that Tournaments V40 folder would become the default folder, but it's not. If I now click File and Open, the standard open command, not the temp location, it now points back to the Z drive, because that is my default folder, and when I open from the temp location, I didn't change what the default folder was. So that's just a useful thing to know, that we have different ways of opening files that allow you to set the default folder or not set the default folder. Another command is the backup files open. And this is a particularly useful command if you have been working on a tournament, something happens, and the player list is no longer the way you want it to be, and you want to go back to a previously saved tournament. we actually save 15 levels of backup, and that allows us then to go back and find a tournament that has in it pretty much what you want, and it gives you a place to start over from. So when I click on Backup Files Open, it actually goes to our default folder, the Tournaments V40 folder, and here you can see that the President's Cup has been saved 3 times, and so each time it then creates a backup folder, and this eventually would go up to President's Cup 15 backup. TXB is the backup, and you can see that it's been saved at different times. And then once it finishes 15, it would start over again and start overwriting the President's Cup 1 and just work its way through 1 through 15, but it gives you backups to open. If you get into that situation and you want to open up a backup folder and you're not quite sure what to do, call us. We'll be glad to help out. And that's what our tech support is for. So I'm going to cancel that for right now. Other commands in the file command are append players, append scores, adding passwords, and we'll discuss those in additional tutorials. Thanks for watching.